Good evening. I'm looking right into the camera. Look at that. Good evening. Good evening. It's time for Wednesday night. What do we call this show? West Ham Wednesday night, because I work in marketing professionally, so I came up with a great name. It's called West Ham Wednesday night.
Very simplistic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it tells you what it is. You know what it's on. You know what it does. It's as they say in England. It says what it says on the tin. It says what it does on the tin. So, so we've got Chris tonight, who joins us from Mercyhurst University, isn't it? Right? University?
Yes.
Yeah, Mercyhurst University in Erie, PA. Of course, he's a native of Ohio. You guys know that. He's a big Ohio State guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have. I've not.
We're actually gonna have some issues this week.
Big game this weekend.
I have not watched a single minute of college football. I have to admit, it's weird for me because I'm usually a huge fan. I just haven't been into it, and I haven't watched any of it at all. So I'm totally out of it. And of course, in Philadelphia, John, who's a Penn State guy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a week for the two of us.
Oh, wait, is that the game this week? Is it Ohio State and Penn State?
Yeah, college game day is over there now. They just tweeted out today, so
okay.
I'm not too optimistic about this one, but we'll see.
Wait, there's college game day this year. Is anybody on the camera? I mean, or is it just like Corso and
I have no idea. I didn't watch it on Saturday, but I imagine it's probably just Corso and maybe a few mascots and cheerleaders. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean they probably don't have the crowds, right? I wouldn't think, but I don't know.
There's no crowds. It's just the four pundits up there, and Corso's not even on set. He's at home. So
is that right? Well, he's vulnerable. Of course, he's not a young guy. He's got to be in his 70s easily.
Easily,
he coached Indiana in the 70s, if memory serves. I think he coached there in the late 70s. So, anyway, Dave in St. Louis, how's it going?
All right. Things are well.
Are you a college?
You bet. You bet. SEC East all the way. MIZ, baby. That's right.
You're a Mizzou guy, huh?
Damn straight.
Okay. Nice.
3 in a row. So
nice. Good for you. Good to know. I've struggled to get into it this season for some reason, and I don't know. I'm kind of taking the year off to see how things go. Because it's hard. It's hard because it's like you don't know who's going to be on, who's not going to be on. It's happening. It's not happening. Yeah. It's been weird. Anyway, and all these sports are all clumped up together, right? We just had Stanley Cup, NBA Finals, World Series, all happened like on top of each other. And the NFL, of course, is like kind of into the midseason now. So anyway, but I want to welcome everybody who's watching in the chat room. I see Foe, I see Neil, I see the other Lee, who's very tastefully named, but he is the other Lee. Let's be very clear about that. Okay, I'm the alpha Lee on this channel. There can be no doubt about that. I'm going to tell you all the stuff I always tell you before we get started, which is if you want to be on our show, if you're a West Ham fan, let us know. Find us anywhere. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, AmericanHammers.net, any place. Let us know. Katie is now doing a show on Thursday nights where she interviews a fan like we used to do in the early days. And she's looking to book people out for that. And Katie's fantastic, as you know. And wasn't she just on Hammer Shots just now? I think she was. Yeah. Wasn't she? Yeah. How'd she do?
I won't ruin the surprise.
Oh, well, it's already been on, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, for people watching again, no.
Okay, fine. Okay, don't. Okay. All we'll say is that Katie was on, and that makes it worth watching. All right, because everybody likes Katie. I don't know who else was on with her, but anyway, Katie was on, and it's always worth watching Katie. So if you want to be on our show, let us know, and then check out our website, AmericanHammers.net. All kinds of cool stuff to buy. You can buy West Ham stuff without giving money to our wretched, evil owners. And here he is. There he is. It's Selly, just in time. How you doing, Selly?
Hey, not bad. How you doing, guys?
Good. Selly, coming. Is it still snowy in Boulder, or is still snow on the ground there?
Yeah, there's a little bit of snow. It'll be gone by the weekend, I'm sure. But it looks great, driving in up there with the clear skies. It's very bright, but yeah, it's not snowing no more.
We're supposed to get a little maybe on Friday night here, so we'll see about that. And then I don't know what it's gonna be like on Halloween, but I think we're having a little thing at our house rather than taking the boys out, so kind of doesn't really matter. But
yeah.
Anyway, so we've gotten through all the preamble stuff as usual. Yeah, buy stuff from us. Don't buy it from the club. Buy it from us. Keep us running. Keep us up and running. All right. Keep us paying for StreamYard and all this. A couple of things that I thought we could talk about. Does anybody have a definitive word on Michail Antonio's status? Because I haven't seen it. Because for once, I guess since X went behind the paywall, which I'm not paying for, I don't know what's going on. So I don't know what the status is, and I don't think the club said anything. Did you guys have any? Have you seen any updates that I haven't seen?
The only thing I've seen is cryptic tweets from X saying that it's worse than they thought it was. But
that's what I saw too.
That is, it could be. So I don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't know if that means it's a tear. If it's completely off the bone. If his leg's just gone. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. No, be nice, all right? Now, Dave is a good dude. He may look a little bit like Ian Abrahams, but he doesn't have the reputation of Moose. So West Ham fans don't like Moose too much these days. He's not exactly hardcore on the GSB out bandwagon. So anyway. So I don't know what the status is. I saw the cryptic note from X, which came out a couple of days ago. So this kind of goes hand in hand with another thing that we've been talking about for a long time now, which is leaks coming out of the club. And David Moyes says, no more leaks. We're not doing that anymore. Of course, it's really not his choice, is it? It's David Sullivan who leaks to begin with. So Moyes can say that all he wants. He can't do much about it, just like anything else he has to deal with as manager. But let's start with Antonio. Let's assume he's not available for Liverpool, okay? Because it seems unlikely to me that he's available. We don't know how long he's out. Hopefully he's not out at all. But if he is out, what do you guys do up top? Do you go, shake Sebastian Haller, wake him from his slumber, get him out there and see if he'll run around, and he'll win aerial duels. We know that. Everybody talks about the aerial duels he wins. That's all I ever hear about Sebastian Haller. He wins aerial duels. That's great. That's awesome. That's why we paid £45 million so he could jump. Do we put Haller up there up top? Do we do a Yarmo type thing where we put Yarmolenko up where he plays for Ukraine? I've seen suggestions about people sticking Benrahma up top. I don't think that makes any sense at all, but I've seen it on Twitter. I'm just throwing it out there. Bowen, another one I've seen is Bowen up top. This is what Neil says. What do you guys do? I'll just go around. Chris, what do you think?
Right there, what Neil's put, that's exactly what I would do. I don't think you can't go away from the back five with how well it's been working.
You have to have back five. I agree with that.
Yeah. The only other possible option, if you do go away from the back five, is shift Fornals into the middle, make it more of a 4-3-3, Haller up front, Benrahma out left. That's the only other thing you could do. But for me, I stick with the back five and Haller up front. I don't trust Yarmolenko up front on his own, especially after last match.
Yeah, he didn't look so good. I agree. Although he's been good for us in the past. He scored that winner against Chelsea last season, and we know he can do a job, but he doesn't look in form right now.
Yeah.
So you would basically swap onto Antonio for Haller and just take our chances. All right, John, what's your deal? What's your take on that?
I think you have to. I think he's a £45 million striker sitting to waste on the bench. He's supposed to be our key star man. You got to feed him, and you've got to play to his strengths. So, that's not necessarily making him run the channels like Antonio is. It's not, getting him completely level with the ball like Antonio was saying. It's going to be higher balls, not more direct balls, or not lower, farther balls, higher balls that you can get under and give the players in and around him time to get in and around him. And Fornals and Bowen are going to have to do is run him for him. They're just going to have to.
Do you put Fornals out there, or do you put Benrahma out there?
Fornals hasn't lost his place in the team for me. I mean, he's been excellent, and we're going to need his defensive capabilities. He doesn't look the quickest, but Fornals' closing speed is deceptively quick. I mean, he's very good at pressing on other players, and we're going to need that more than anything. So we just need a very, very mobile midfield, and they're just going to have to work their balls off until about the 65th, 70th minute, and then you may need a couple of subs to come on and refresh those legs. But
so for David Moyes, that's like the 89th minute, of course, you realize.
Moyes time, that's probably 2 days from then.
It's like you had Fergie time when Ferguson was manager of Manchester United, and you'd have a 12-minute injury time at the end of the second half, so he could get his equalizer or his match winner. And now you have Moyes time, which is your substitutes come on 15 minutes later than they should. But Dave, what would you do? What's your thinking?
I mean, I hate to be the broken record, but John said everything that I was thinking the same way. I mean, you've got to be using Haller. And Fornals, I wouldn't pull him out just yet. He hasn't lost his place in the team. I agree with that 100%. You got to have the back five. So basically, you're just doing one swap. Put Allaire up there and get it high so he can knock it down.
Yeah. How about you, Sully? What's shiver off the cold a little bit? Tell us what you think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like you have to put Heller up there. He's our only actual striker that is sitting on the bench, and like John said, is £45 million player, club record signing. To not put him in there to start would definitely be a slap in the face to him, I feel like. And I know Yarmolenko would be, I guess, a striker too that could play up there, but I don't think he's necessarily outformed. I just think he had a bad game, but I like Haller up there because I think Antonio was getting some quality service, and I think Haller might be able to take, a little bit better of chances in that service in the sense of, he could, we've seen him attempt a bicycle kick, so that's in his arsenal and things like that. But yeah, in the second half, Benrahma doesn't start for me in this game, but he definitely comes in second half. Probably to replace Masuaku or whoever else, depending on where you want to put him, or Fornals. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't start for me. But yeah, like you guys were saying, the pace isn't going to come from Haller, but at the same time, I think this is a game that Haller can say, this is why you paid this money for me, especially with no Van Dijk in there. Because, I mean, you think about it, as big and dominant as Haller can be, is just how big and dominant Van Dijk is. So without him being in there, I mean, I know the aerial duels is a broken record, but, win those, create some play for somebody else. If he doesn't score, maybe he creates an assist or two. Just do what you can to win the game. Nobody's sitting here asking you to get a hat trick or anything. Just do what you can and be a instrumental piece in the game.
I'll say this too with regards to Allaire. If what it sounds like with Antonio is true, it sounds like he's going to be out at least several weeks, an extended period.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all kind of agree that it's not just a one match.
I've seen 6 weeks thrown around, and
yeah.
I mean, hamstring that seems pretty accurate. So yeah.
After this Liverpool match, it's a very easy, relatively speaking, compared to the first 7 run of games or run of matches. So for Allaire, this is kind of the turning point at his stay at West Ham, where he has to prove that he was worth the £45 million and that we deserve to, or that he deserves a spot on this bench, on this team. And if he doesn't, I think that we could look to offload him even in January potentially, let alone the corner.
It's an interesting point about offloading him, which I want to talk about that in a minute too. But so I want to go back just for a minute. Does Benrahma start for anybody here?
No.
Okay, he doesn't for me either. And
not yet, anyways.
Right. One, because I'm with you, John. Fornals hasn't lost his spot. He's been really good. I think he's been a very good player for us. I think he's the kind of player we want on the pitch right now. A young, hungry player still proving himself. Not that Benrahma wouldn't be. The other thing is Fornals has how many appearances in the Premier League now? 25, 30, 40? I don't know how many, but more than 0. I think throwing Benrahma into the fire against Liverpool is maybe not the best way to do it. Now, maybe he comes on, as you said, maybe he comes on after 65 or 70 minutes or, with David Moyes, 85 minutes. But I wouldn't start Benrahma either. But let me ask you this. Now, this is my own theory that may be total crap because most of what I come up with is total crap. But I think we have been a better team since we have rooted out some of the bad seeds, some of the bad influences in the team. Felipe Anderson being number 1. And did you see today on Twitter that apparently at Porto, his manager says he doesn't work hard enough? I mean, I'm glad we're not crazy, right? Because I've been saying this for a long time. We've all been saying this for a long time. And people talk about, we say, oh, he's a great footballer. Always, oh, he may be, but he's not putting anything into it right now. So I think getting rid of him, to me, Allaire was kind of in that group of guys who didn't really seem to want to be there. And he's a little bit of a cancer to me, to be honest. And I'm wondering if his skill is worth it to put him out there in the starting 11, even though he's the only true striker we have. I mean, I would almost rather stick Yarmolenko out there. His wife just had a kid, all right? He was under a lot of stress. Let's give the guy a break, okay? You guys who have kids, you know what I'm talking about.
Match too, and I was like, I wonder if that was a little bit weighing on his mind.
Of course it was. Of course it was. I have two kids, and I remember both of them being born, obviously, and you can't think about much of anything else, when that's going on. You can't think about much of anything else. So I give him a break. I would almost rather. Yeah, no, I am hating Anderson again. Yeah, I am hating him. Okay, I am, but I think he deserves it. All right, yeah. And I'm hating Haller a little bit too. Okay, because to me, Antonio is the guy who Antonio and Ogbonna and Declan and Fornals and Souček and Tufal are the guys who are and the rejuvenated Cresswell, Masuaku. These are the guys who are the symbol of our resurgence. And Haller, I think of him as being part of that group that didn't do that. Do you know what I mean? That was kind of part of the cancer group. Do you guys have any concerns around that at all? Or to you, does it just not matter because, hey, he's 45 million pound striker and you can't just sit him on the bench and play a big slow Ukrainian in his place?
Well, it's a combination of both, Lee. He is the $45 million man. You want him out there. He should have the potential. That's the frustration. It's like Anderson. When you saw the glimpses, you thought, this is good. But they were too far, too few and far between. So it was just frustrating as hell.
This is true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but unfortunately, he's got to be hit right now. I mean,
well,
the Dildo brothers paid a lot of money for him, and they want him out there. I mean, let's be honest.
And this really is where we see their poor planning. This really is why. I'm sorry to sound like Tim because Tim's been saying this for like 2 years. I wanted Josh King. I did. I wanted Josh King. I would have preferred him to have been Rama. Not that I don't like Ben Rama, but I wanted another guy who could play up front and had played up front in the Premier League. I don't trust Haller, not because of his talent, but because I don't think he really wants to be here. And we need to get rid of players like that, not have them starting for us.
Lee, I got two things for you. One, so Yarmolenko was stressed because he had a kid. You remember what it was like. Do you also remember not sleeping through the night in the days preceding having a kid?
I remember.
You know he's going through that right now as well. So I don't know if he's going to be tip-top for any kind of football.
Hey, man, it's been 15 years for me, and I still don't sleep through the night for John.
I agree with what Fo said about what's Haller done wrong. I think Haller kind of fell into a really awkward place to where at the restart he was injured at the beginning of it, or not fit or whatever the case may have been, and then Antonio just simultaneously went on a tear and became the best striker in the Premier League during the restart. And obviously in any sport you don't want to take out your hot hand. Haller's obviously shown a lot of brilliance. He's had a couple braces, some pretty crazy goals and some pretty crazy attempts at goal. But I mean, even in the few minutes that he played against Manchester City, he was able to create a little bit of play. I think Yarmolenko kind of let him down once by being a little bit too gritty at the edge of the box and not trying to look for him. But at the same time, I think Haller is frustrated, and I think that can be a good thing because, that goal that he had in the cup game I don't know if it was a cup game. I don't remember which one it was, when he came on and just kind of headed in, the goal and just stood there. I'd be the same way. Like, this is why you play me. This is why you paid for me. Now, obviously, none of us see behind the scenes. I think Moyes doesn't play him for a reason, which is kind of ridiculous to me. I think it was really awkward to see him not come in to replace Antonio when he got pulled in, when he pulled up. But at the same time, it could be one of those things where his frustration leads to him being, that dominant force this weekend, or it could be the thing where he just plays lazy. It's either one or the other. I don't necessarily think that there's a middle ground there. He's either going to be great or he's not.
So I think this the attitude thing too that people keep pointing to, right? That he doesn't celebrate goals and all the other stuff. That's been there, and I'm all right with that. I don't care at all about that. I think that's just the way he is. And actually, what people don't talk about is him celebrating other people's goals, and he has done that. And even when he was on the sidelines, was that the Wolves match? I can't remember who scored, but there was like 2 or 3 subs on the sidelines then that joined in with the celebrations, and he was one of them. So, I don't think he's Mr. Doom and Gloom merchant just stropping around and bringing the team down. I think he wants to be out there. I just don't see him. He's not the passion player, and everybody's looking for passion or whatever. But I don't know. Give me competence. I think the guy's a baller. He just needs his shot, and he's got to take his shot with both hands. This is his chance. If he goes on a tear, then that's his Antonio version. Yeah. So he can cement his place as the starter.
Let's hope he does. Obviously, we hope he does. Now, Kostya's here to tell me how much he loves Allaire, because Kostya tells me all the time how much he loves Allaire. So, and Kostya will be the first to tell you about the aerial duels. He's big on the aerial duel stats.
Number 1 in the league.
He's the best in the league. Now, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I often am. He hasn't played much in this wingback system, I don't think. Hardly any at all. So I think a lot of his frustration goes back to when we were playing 4 at the back, when Cresswell was really struggling back there. And really, even on the other side, Fredericks, Johnson, whoever we stuck back there before we got to fall was really struggling. How much do you think the wingback system is going to help him? And do you think it's, going to let him use his game more effectively, if that makes sense? Or because he's still going to be a lone striker up front, which is not really what he likes. But I mean, do you see this as being something that, will allow him to kind of shake loose a little bit, whereas he couldn't before? Whoever wants to jump in, just go for it.
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing that we've seen with I'm sorry, Dave, I'll keep it short. One thing that we've seen with Antonio was that you're getting more people into the box. Granted, it's a lone striker system, but I think every time we get offensive chances, you have at least one other person in the box to supplement. So I think hopefully that helps in a bit, to where he feels comfortable and might not feel the pressure of like, okay, I'm in here, I need to create. Or I need to score. But at the same time, when you are that lone striker, you get 2 or 3 guys on you that, are always going to stop you no matter who you're playing against. But if there's somebody else, either, Bowen in the back, making a mad run, or Fornell's creating a chance, or whoever the case may be, it just always seems now in this new system that there's somebody else in there. So I don't think he'll have that same pressure. And kind of what I was saying too is there's been better service for Antonio. So I think, if you just take out one puzzle piece and put in the next, that service is still going to be there. He just has to capitalize on it.
I think Tufal has definitely been, in his short time with us, a great crosser of the ball. I mean, we saw that again against Manchester City. We've seen it several times now. He put in the cross that the Spurs defender put in for the own goal. He's not shy about doing it. So yeah, I'm hoping we get better service to Allaire, and I'm hoping if we get better service to him, that'll let him kind of be more comfortable to play his game as opposed to what he was doing before, where he felt as though he was too isolated. I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? I mean, do you think do you think I feel as though if you look at our goal scoring record, if you watch what we've done, I feel as though the service has been better to Antonio. Have you guys seen the same thing, or is that just me making that up or being hopeful?
I think
Oh, Chris, you got hacked. Chris got hacked. Oh, and
Antonio is one of those.
You got froze for a second, Chris. I'm sorry.
What?
You froze for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I was like, what happened? You mean I got hacked? You start freaking me out there.
No. It's because you're the intelligence guy. Okay. Chris is studying
that's why I'm concerned.
You're in grad school, right? It's grad school, isn't it? Or is it undergrad? I can't remember. It's grad school. So Chris is in grad school, training to become a spy, basically. Yes, that's what it is. Don't explain it. Let me explain what you do, and you don't get to say anything at all. All right? That's how that works. Selly flew planes in the Air Force, all right? John works for the Trump administration. I don't know what Dave does, but no. Anyway, but seriously, you are. The reason I said that about being hacked is because you are studying intelligence type stuff. Is that not right?
Yes,
okay.
That is correct.
But you're not going to be a spy.
No.
Because if you're going to be a spy, a lot of people already know who you are because your name and Twitter handle are on here
I know.
every Wednesday. So you wouldn't be a great spy in terms of being, undercover. Anyway, what you're saying, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But what I was saying is, I think that the goal scoring record has a lot to do with Antonio himself as well. He's the type of player, he just will not take no for an answer, really. He just goes and goes and goes. Allaire is really not that kind of style of player, in my opinion. I think that and Antonio is just better at keeping possession and getting down the field, down the pitch. Allaire kind of wants the service, and no.
I was thinking more Julian Assange because he's very.
Oh God, why?
He's very suave. He's very suave, Julian Assange. Doesn't he sound like a total douchebag?
Really quick,
not you, Julian Assange. I mean,
really quickly too. Fo earlier compared Allaire to Odell Beckham at the Browns.
Yeah, Odell Beckham just shredded his ACL.
Yeah, not a good time.
Yeah, so please don't do that. Right, please don't do that. Just yeah. John, you don't really work for the Trump administration. I know that, but you do work in PR of some sort. So, So I mean, what
I felt the need to clarify that one, Lee.
I felt the need to clarify that one. No, he doesn't work for Trump. Yeah, well, let me ask you guys. Okay, that's actually a good point. I mean, Allaire is not a runner. All right, we know that. You watch him play; he's going to wait for his opportunities. He's going to hang out up there. He doesn't do what Antonio does. He doesn't track back. He doesn't provide that engine. I mean, is that a problem? Do we try to replace that, or do we just say to Allaire, okay, you play your game, you set up there. We're going to get the crosses into you from Tufal, from Masuaku, from Fornals, from Bowen.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to run the channels like Antonio is. He's right. Not that type of player.
It's the phrase I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, Bowen, Fornals, they're going to have to do that legwork, and maybe you work the ball around the box a little bit and then drop it back. Cresswell, Masuaku, Sufal. But look at this. I mean, number one player in aerial duels won, to Costia's point. Costia, I'm sure, would also like to make the point. Our number one player in areas duels won this season is Souček. So if you can get those two bastards in the box and just whip balls into them, I'll take that all day long.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It may not be pretty, but why not? Why not stick them two in there? Just you're gonna have to hold the ball up and drop it back and make sure you've given them time to get there. But if you can get that ball in good areas, they're gonna go and win it.
That's a really good point about Souček, who's been, I think, an absolutely fantastic find for us. He's been great. I mean, would you guys make any changes to the starting 11 that we've had for the last couple of games, other than swapping out?
Nope. Definitely no need to. No. I think one thing. Oh, sorry. Not to kind of steal any thunder or anything, but the one thing for this game, or not this game, but moving forward, is we know how this team plays against top competition, and I think it's been great that we've had the same starting 11 for the past few games, because I think that's one thing that this team doesn't do, is just consistently put out the same team. So I think that's helped a lot as far as like gelling and cohesion and stuff like that. But I think moving forward, it's these games against the smaller clubs and the lower table clubs that's going to be where the money is made, because those are who we generally love to drop the ball against. So I think these starting 11, they've proved themselves. 8 points in the past 4 games against top competition. Brilliant. We can get steamrolled this week, and it'll still be a great 5-game stretch when I think people weren't considering us to get any points at all during this time.
Right.
But just moving forward in the next 3-4 games through Christmas, in my opinion, that, that's where we need to pick up points.
Yeah. Let me ask you this too. This is a good point you bring up, Selly. We're sitting at 8 points when a lot of people thought we'd have 0, especially after the loss to Newcastle. Is this a little bit of a free game this weekend? I mean, nobody thinks we're going to win. It's Liverpool, defending champions, one of the best clubs in the world. I mean, I don't want to see us go out and get tonked, but if we lose a 1-0 or a 2-1, does anybody panic? Or do you say, you know what, fine, let's move on to, I think Sheffield United is next, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. But anyway, do you feel as though there's a little bit of a whatever happens type attitude among the fans anyway? Oh, anybody, Dave?
I would think so. And on top of it, if I'm the players, I'm thinking the same thing. Why not?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
nobody expects us to be here anyway, so let's just have fun. That's what they should be doing. That's what Moyes should be telling them. Go out, have fun, let's do our job. And if we lose, great, but as long as we put out a great effort. Now, I don't want to see us park the bus. I'd like to see us go after it.
I agree.
We've got nothing to lose.
I thought against Manchester City, and we said this last week on the show, my feeling was just put out a good effort. Just put out the kind of effort we've put out since the Arsenal match. And even if we don't win, it's okay. Just don't go out there and pull a Newcastle and not show up. And the fact that we got a draw, a really hard-earned draw, I thought was a great credit to our team. I know Manchester City are struggling a little bit right now, but that's still one of the biggest and best teams in the world. We know that. They have some of the most expensive and best players in the world. We know that. So the fact that we gutted that out, I thought it said a lot about us. And I kind of feel the same way here. And I'm kind of wondering if, this feels like an opportunity to me. Our players, I still say, and I've said all since the restart last season, they're better without fans. They're better without our fans in some cases. I don't blame our fans for feeling how they do, all right? But I still think our players are better. And I think in this situation where their expectations are low, the expectations were low for Wolves, for Leicester, for Manchester City, for Tottenham, for all the last 4 games. Nobody thought we were going to win any of those games, and we've gotten 8 points out of them. I'm not predicting a victory. I would never do that, but I feel as though there's the chance to get a result here, particularly in an empty Anfield. I don't know if anybody wants to pile onto that.
And add to the fact that Virgil's not going to be there, that helps out tremendously.
Neither.
Fabinho limped off too. So Virgil is, Jordan Pickford did us a favor. I hate to see injuries. I do, but I'm just saying. Jordan Pickford did us a favor. Fabinho is they're going to have some defensive weaknesses, and we know we can score. We know we can score. We have in every match since Newcastle, every match we bothered to show up for, we put in a goal. So we know we can at least, we can score. It feels like a real opportunity, which makes me think we have a big old 5-0 incoming.
Who knows? But this is, potentially we should have a top 8 team on paper. I think at least the first 11, barring any injuries. Yeah. And if you're a top 8 team, you need to have that mindset that no matter who you're playing against, compete. Let the chips fall where they may. Whatever happens, but go out and compete. And if we can give it our best effort and compete and be competitive against those teams, if we lose 1-0, no big deal. But go down fighting. Give it a good go, because any team that's in around 8th could easily finish anywhere from 8th to 3rd. To be honest, there shouldn't be that big of a gap between them.
And Sally, by the way, you could say stuff like this, instead of typing if you want to.
Oh no! It was just something I was thinking.
You're on the camera, so go ahead. Yeah.
Right. No, it was just something I was thinking. I didn't want to forget it while other people were making very good points. But that game, we played very well, and our form now is a lot better than it was then. And I think that game, seeing as how for the most part we have the same squad, with the exception of a couple of people, plus some quality people who have come in, there's no reason to fear. In that game, the stadium was full. Like, that wasn't an empty Anfield that we, took it to them in. That was a full team. And it was what Happy Hammer said earlier, as far as look at how the team celebrated against Spurs. Yeah. I think that's a huge note, or a huge point to make too, because you can see that everything that's going on outside of the stadium, and with the owners versus the fans, stuff like that, it looks as if these guys are playing for each other, and I think it's a very genuine thing. And I think the fact that Lanzini scored that goal was huge, in the sense of he's somebody else that we're like, okay, well, should he be here still? Should he not? Injury, not the same player, whatever. And he puts in a worldy of a goal, maybe goal of the season already, depending on what people feel about Antonio's goal. But it was great, and everybody was, losing their shit, and it was beautiful to see, as much as a fan. And unfortunately, there's no one at the stadium, but that away end would have been going insane if they were there.
It's great to see. No, I feel the same way you do, and it's the biggest regret I have this season is that there was nobody in the way end at. Do they still call it White Hart Lane, or is it not called that anymore? The new one, I don't know. Wherever,
It's
whatever
called
their
Spurs
ground is.
Stadium or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Tottenham
Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah.
I think.
All right. So until they find a name for it, until I find somebody to buy the name of it, I guess. Yeah. So the away end at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium would have been. Yeah, would have been. I think they might have torn the place down. Go ahead, Chris.
Some of the players were talking about. I think it was Randolph who was posting on Instagram about the players were talking about like how mental the away side would have been, or the away fans would have been going in that one. But for me, with regards to this year, during like when we were in the build up to the season, all the shows that we were doing, one of the things that I kept saying was last season with a very similar roster side. We were being touted to potentially break into the top 6. Now that
we were. That's right.
Yeah, now that we've gotten rid of the dead wood and the freeloaders, I mean, we're playing well. And we have no expectations. So we're kind of able to fly under the radar a little bit like that. Everyone's thinking, oh, it's just West Ham. They're not going to amount to much. They'll be mid-table probably. But we have, I mean, you think about it, from the top 6 side that we were supposed to be, we've now added Thomas Suchek, Sufal, Benrahma, Fornals. I mean, we look like a better Bowen as well. We're a better team than we were last year, and we were being touted to get in the top 6. And then on top of that, too, with this week, the report's saying that the players are buying into Moyes' system.
I'm hearing that, yeah.
They're backing Moyes as the manager more and more. So they actually have someone to look up to, someone who's drilling them, someone who is inspiring them when Pellegrini really wasn't.
Yeah, I think. Listen, let's talk about David Moyes for a minute. When Moyes kept us up, when he came in and kept us up 2 seasons ago, when Arnautovic scored all those goals, I thought he should have had his contract renewed at the time, because he did what he came to do, and he didn't do anything wrong. And to me, you let him come back and you let him see what he can do. We brought in Pellegrini, big name, flashy signing, good first season, right? A Bilic type thing. Good first season. Second season, it just falls off a cliff. We have to come and get Moyes in again. I mean, surely he deserves 2 or 3 or 4 seasons this time, doesn't he? Am I just crazy? I know a lot of people don't like his style, but look, we've scored. How many goals have we scored? What's it? 4 against Wolves, 3 against Leicester, 3 against Tottenham, 1 against Man City. I mean, we're scoring goals like crazy. We're playing, I think, some pretty attractive football. Yeah, we're playing attractive football. I mean, does anybody want to see Moyes gone at the end of the season at this point?
Well, the main reason I don't want him gone, and all these things are great. The main reason is that we need stability. It's nice. I mean, I've been following West Ham since 2015, and we've had 4 different managers. It's insane.
It's insane. I know.
You cannot build a club with changing styles and tactics every other year. You know, the scary thing is, if you think about it, if Fabianski doesn't go down, we could still have the old man, the decrepit old man that's now in Spain.
The tie stroker, as Charlie Boy calls him.
We could still have him because before he went down, we were doing pretty damn good.
We were. That's true.
You know, so there could be. It could be. Is it because we actually have good players, or is it because now Moyes is there and we can? You know, we did get rid of some dead wood, but is it because of the stability that we're doing better? Personally, I think it's because of the stability.
He said he wanted to bring it. I do too, Dave. I agree with you. I think if you look at successful clubs that have been successful over a long period of time, they've pretty much all been able to find a manager who could stay around for, at least a few years. I mean, you look at Arsenal under Wenger, or obviously Manchester United under Ferguson. I know those are big money clubs, but still the stability of those managers was a huge factor. I go back to who was the Newcastle manager in the 90s, John? I'm trying to think of who was there when they were. Was it Keegan? Was it Kevin Keegan? It was Kevin Keegan. Yeah. Kevin Keegan had a good run at Newcastle. Harry Redknapp had a good run at West Ham, right? I mean, he did.
On the league, Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Keegan, Harry Redknapp. you don't have to talk about, Sam Allardyce at Blackburn and Bolton both had two pretty lousy, well, Blackburn's not so lousy, but had Bolton in the Premier League for a long time. So you can go through these examples of not just rich clubs, but middle-class clubs like ours, sort of. You find the stability with the manager and it works, I wish our fans, thank you. Fo got it too. I think I wish more of our fans would kind of get on board with this. I don't see why there's always this desire to bring in some young hot shot or somebody who's unobtainable, and we're not going to get Zidane. We're not going to get who's the guy who left Spurs? Pochettino. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on that.
Sally and I had a bit of a chat about this last night. Go on, Sally.
Yeah, no. So I think he still needs to prove it right now. Because for me, I think this conversation of renewing the contract is big because we're in a pretty sweet honeymoon phase right now with the run of results that we've had.
Yeah.
Which
goes back to last season. To be fair, it goes back to last season. Let's not forget.
No, it does. Yeah. 100% it does.
But it's October, and we shouldn't freak out quite yet.
Yeah. I mean, since the turn of the year, I think we've been playing some really good football. We've been scoring a lot of goals. We've been beating the teams that we should be beating and playing great against the teams that we normally don't play great against. So it's good to see, and I know a lot of that does play into going in into buying into the system. And to give Moyes his credit, he did see that a formation change was needed, and since he changed it, we've been playing really well. But at the same time, I want to see him do it through February, and then maybe in March you could talk about extending the contract. But on the flip side of this, kind of going back to what me and John were talking about after last night's show. Is would David Moyes want to stay? Because if we get into a January window where the board still doesn't want to back him for people that he wants to sign, and possibly get rid of somebody else that he wants to keep, what would his incentive be to stay? I think that's also a conversation that needs to be had too. So, I mean, if he can keep us, playing at a good pace where we're fighting for a European spot, sign me up, extend the contract. And I think even just a third caveat into that is how long would you be able to extend him with the owners probably not even being here after the next 3 or some odd years?
Oh, we hope. From your lips to God's ears, Sally, on that one. I mean, seriously. I'm kind of with Fo on this. This is pretty much how I feel. I mean, again, I back him. I've backed him from the very beginning. But yeah, it's early. It's October. Let's get past Christmas. Let's get through the festive fixtures. If we're not in a relegation battle in February,
get through that January window too.
And get through the January window. Did you guys see on Twitter some odds maker, and these odds makers come out with all kinds of
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Some odds maker, what tell us, Chris, what did they say?
So Celtic have a job opening right now, and David Moyes is the odds-on favorite to land as the new manager. The odds are at 3-1.
He's the odds-on favorite to go to Celtic. I have such disdain for Scottish football. I'm sorry. I love Scotland as a place. No, I do. I love Scotland as a place. I like this. I'll support the Scottish national team. All right. In football and rugby both. I have no problem with that. I think Scotland's wonderful. I have been there. I think it's great. But man, Scottish league football is just such total garbage, and it's so stupid. And why anybody follows it when there's only two clubs? How could you? I mean, how is a Celtic fan ever happy with anything? You win the league every year. You don't have to have competition.
They don't have to think about it too much. They don't have to worry about the stress that
Rangers literally went out of business. All right, the only other club that competed with them on a regular basis for a century literally ceased to exist and had to come back as a brand new entity. Rangers Football Club is like 6 years old or something like that.
And Hearts got relegated too.
And Hearts got relegated.
You has a soft spot for Celtic, right? I got to stand up here for a second. How is that any different than any other European league?
Well, I have disdain for all of those too, John. But I don't know. I don't know about that.
One worked on the Trump campaign, Lee.
It's going to be huge. I don't know. It depends. I mean, in Portugal, you have 3 clubs. All right. At least there's a third one in there. I realize Germany is, pretty bad these days with Bayern. It used to be very different in France before the money, before PSG got the money. Lyon had a long string of titles, but those weren't necessarily given. A lot of those were hard fought. I don't know. There's something about Scottish football. It's just the other clubs are so small.
Yeah, it's not competitive at all.
You know what I mean? It's not competitive at all.
Two giants.
They're little tiny clubs. I mean, at least in France, you have Marseille and you have.
Seem to win the European Cup.
I realized that in 1967. I realized that. I know. And all the players grew up within like 10 miles of the ground or something. That's great. That's cool. That was 53 years ago. So I don't know. It's more just the whole idea that Celtic are a massive club. I mean, let me ask you this. You put Celtic in the Premier League, where do they finish?
Year one,
Probably
they
top
finished
7, maybe.
mid-table.
Yeah.
You think top 7, Selly?
Well, I mean,
take the team.
I
they
would
have
say
right
so
now.
because I think they have a big enough draw to get a handful of
Mhm.
They do have a big
better
draw.
players.
Big
So I think
around the world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people know who they are, and when you're the top dog in the country, like if you're going to win that. Well, I guess if they're in the Premier League, that doesn't necessarily count, but they got a huge stadium. They got big fan base, a fan base that'll travel. As annoying as it might be for the away end of every stadium in England, to see them in there, but yeah, I mean, I don't with the money that they have, I don't see why they couldn't finish top 7 almost every year.
They're massive. I mean, they both of them are big clubs. I think it wasn't until Man United stuck an extension on. Those are the two biggest stadiums in Britain.
Yeah,
Parkhead
they are huge. I mean, if you
year one they're mid-table league. I mean, no doubt about it. Year one they're not playing well, but the draw of the Premier League. If you put them in the Premier League, the draw will be the Premier League, and they could both be top 6.
They'll be on Sky Sport every week, especially you got Celtic, Man U, Celtic, Liverpool. Like, why wouldn't they be on TV?
You transfer them over right now, and they're mid-table. I think you're right about that. I do. What I'm saying is, I don't think Celtic right now today, they're not a massive European club in terms of success. They're a massive European club in terms of fan base. Which, if you put that in the Premier League, you can build on that, right? I get that, but I don't think they're all that great. Okay, I just don't think they're all that great. This is interesting to me, and this is what I'm getting at. All right, everybody says this. Why? To me, it's a nightmare. It's the New York Yankees. It's the Lakers. You walk into this thing and you are 100% expected to win the title every season, and the first time you don't, or the first time you are 5 points behind Rangers in January, you are gone. I just don't get why it's a dream job. I think it's a total nightmare. It's the worst. It's the last job I would want to have.
Well, because it's almost 2 guaranteed trophies a season. Whatever their domestic cup is and the league. Because
2 or 3,
like you said, if you're 5
yeah.
points behind, and if you're 5 points behind, I mean, they're basically the Bayern Munich of Scotland. Like, they'll buy everybody's players, and
don't forget too.
But then you get to go
David
into
Moyes
Europe
is born in Glasgow.
Yeah. I mean, but then you get to go into Europe and lose in the qualifying rounds of the Champions League.
Right.
Yeah, but see, that right there too is where there's no pressure. You mess around and get into the knockout round of the Champions League, and you got a contract extension right there just based off that alone.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. To me, anytime you walk into a job and you're expected to never to fail ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no room for any sort of. There's no room for a bad season here and there, or a player gets injured, or that's a nightmare to me. It's just a total nightmare to me. And these trophies, I mean, who cares? Look back at the history of Scottish football. I mean, how many trophies have non-old firm clubs won? I don't know. I mean, in the last 100 years, I think Aberdeen won a few in the 80s when Ferguson was there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ferguson was there in Aberdeen, right?
Aberdeen, and I mean, but I know Hearts got relegated, but I know Hearts and Hibernian and the other ones you think of, Dundee and all the Dundee United, the ones you think of as being big-ish, they haven't won it in 100 years. So I don't know. To me, Moyes going to Celtic does not make a lot of sense. I think he wants a bigger challenge than that. The only reason I can see him doing it is two reasons. Well, no, 3 reasons, and they're Gold, Sullivan, and Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all I can see.
Well, I mean, better pay draw. I mean, if Celtic offers, well, let's say 2 or 3 times what West Ham are offering, I mean, that's kind of hard to turn that down.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to turn down the money. Arnautovic left for the money. Everybody leaves for the money. I get that. But I mean, Moyes is a wealthy guy, and I think he wants to prove himself in a proper league. I don't think the SPL, SPFL, whatever it's called now, really has much credibility. And I think this is a good point too. I mean, I remember when Bayern didn't win the Bundesliga every season. You don't have to go back that far. It's been a little more like that lately. It'll be like that again this season, but it's more competitive. And France has been more competitive over the years. And I don't know. It's my disdain for Scottish football, even though I love Scotland, Scottish people. So don't take it the wrong way. Don't cancel me because I do. I love it. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let me ask another question. Does Mark Noble play for us again, like at all?
Maybe in early FA Cup matches.
Okay, good point.
He'll be a rotational player. I think that he would be the good kind of like where if we're up a decent bit and we need to bring on someone, he can see out a match like the last 30 minutes or something like that. I don't see him starting unless it's absolute emergency scenario.
I'm sorry and Fo agrees with you, and I guess eventually that'd probably be true. I don't know. Hopefully it'll never happen. Mark, we've just been so much better without him. I mean, can I just say that? Can I just admit it? And maybe we brought this up last week, and I tried to do it very gently, but he may not be the best captain anymore either, because whatever we've got going now, whatever this mojo is we've got where we're battling for 90 minutes, we're coming back from 3-0 down against an opponent that usually just crushes us. We're fighting for a draw against one of the biggest clubs in the world. We're taking 8 points out of a series of matches when a lot of people expected 0. I don't think it happens with Mark Noble as captain. Something about having Declan as captain and something about having a younger, hungrier team, we look like a brand new club to me, a brand new club. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult Mr. West Ham, who's a wonderful man and servant and all that, but man, it's been good not to have him on the pitch. I mean, is that harsh?
No, definitely not. I mean, you got to think too. Like outside of he's a brilliant passer of the ball, and he's going to give you 90 minutes. But I mean, he's a black hole. The ball gets to him, and the play just kind of dies. And I think that's pretty unfortunate. Now, I mean, if you need a penalty in a pinch, give it to Mark. But
no question.
Outside of that,
not that we ever win penalties, so it doesn't really matter. But
right,
yeah, great, yeah, especially against the top 6, as I'm sure we'll see again this weekend. Yeah. So the flip side of that, Declan Rice. How massive is it that we kept him? I mean, when there were all the rumors about him leaving, and apparently nobody ever put in a bid, and I'm sure that's probably true, but I mean, there's strong rumors that he was gone to Chelsea. To me, if you look back in total hindsight, the transfer window was basically a success because he didn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have to do to make him the next Mark Noble? What do we have to do as a club to have him wearing a West Ham shirt 16 years from now and doing a testimonial with us instead of Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, or whoever gets the money next?
So I can start this one off. Kind of to go off of what we were talking about earlier with Moyes in terms of should he get a contract renewal. For me, I don't care. Like, yes, Moyes might not be the most exciting prospect of the manager, right, but it's the players who want him, and they're playing well under him. If the players are buying into his system,
I agree.
I think we should trust him.
I do too.
Mention too, it seems like Declan actually really enjoys this system and enjoys Moyes as a manager. So interesting.
Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if you really want to keep Declan around, at least for the next few years potentially, a contract extension, which that is warranted and seems like is happening in 2 months, doubling his wages.
Which is the right thing to do. 100%.
And the second one is to give him the manager he wants, who best fits him and who wants to build around Declan. That's the other key. We can't just keep bringing in new players every year or every other year to just replay or to shuffle out the old squad. We need to build something around one piece, and that's Declan.
So let me ask you this then, this is let's take a page out of the NBA. When you bring in a guy like, and I don't know how much this happens in football, probably not nearly as much because managers have more control. When you bring LeBron James to your NBA franchise, he picks your players. He's your GM, basically. You get who he wants to the extent that you can. All right, and then you go win a title. He's won a title with 3 different franchises now. Does Declan get to play that role to some extent? When you build around Declan, does that mean you pull in the players Declan thinks he wants to play with? I mean, how much of a de facto sort of GM does he get to become, or does that even happen?
I don't know. I think that's different sports. I mean, it's definitely different sports. But how many players are on a court in basketball? Is it 5, 6?
5.
Yeah,
It's
5.
5.
Yeah,
John does not watch a lot of basketball.
No, I don't watch a lot of anything, to be honest. I watch West Ham and Kid Stories these days.
You have a baby. I get that. I totally get that. Yeah,
no,
I do. How old is she now, John?
9 months. She is 1 pandemic old. Is how I'm kind of counting in a minute.
So you're just emerging from. I mean, it's those you know what I'm talking about, Dave. The first 3 months, I thought I was going to die, and I wasn't the one waking up every 2 hours to nurse the baby. You know what I mean? I was just the one waking up with my wife every 2 hours. So you're just now getting out of that, it's like Hell Week, when you pledge a frat or whatever, but it's the hell 9 months. So and so I know how you feel. Not watching a lot of late night sports, I get that. Unless you're up at 4 a.m. with the baby.
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit more to go around with 11 players or a squad of 20 or whatever it is. So I don't think he has that much control, but I do think, to Chris's point, pay the man. You have to, especially if you're going to make him captain and tell him he's the center of everything, center of our universe. Pay him like he's the center of our universe, and that ain't 30 grand. That certainly ain't 60 grand. I mean, it's got to be 100 grand plus. Make him feel
100 plus.
Yeah, make him feel like he is the middle of everything. And number 2, match his ambition. If we want to keep him, we have to be competing for European places, European competitions, FA Cups, and the rest of it. So surround him with players that are going to do that. Now, that doesn't mean the players he wants necessarily, because he probably hadn't even heard of Thomas Suchek, but I guarantee he loves playing next to him.
Right.
So just get the good type of it's easier said than done, isn't it? Get good players in, but surround him with players that are going to make the team better.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You got to not only pay him. I don't know, making him the captain. I've heard that isn't the end all be all in the locker room, but to get him to Europe or get him at least making it look like we're going to try to get to Europe.
Right.
Of the Dildo brothers and the bitch saying we're going to get there. It's actually following through with it. He has to get. We have to get to be a competitive team, and you have to pay the man. Basically, that's pretty much it. But you got to build around him and make him. He is the centerpiece of this team, which he should be.
Yeah, Fo says a manager, which I think we have one, at least for the time being. I don't know that we have one for the next 15 years, but I think we may have one for the next 3 or 4 anyway. A director of football, we tried, that didn't work. I don't know how that's going to work. Club infrastructure is total garbage. Our training facilities, I've seen, it's really bad. A footballing philosophy. This is interesting to me. I mean, do we have a footballing philosophy? What does that even mean? I mean, we're going to attack.
I think it's just a style of play. The philosophy is just how you attack every game, and not just every game against top clubs. Every game is as far as who you play, how you play against Liverpool, against how you play against Fulham. And I think that's your philosophy. You're going to play Liverpool. They're going to attack you. Manchester United, they're going to go after you.
Yeah.
Sheffield, you know they're going to hold back and try to get you on the break. Like, you know what's going to happen when you play these teams. That's the philosophy. And I think a lot of that, too, stems from the coach, you know. And one thing that, you know, if we want to keep Rice and if we want to keep Moyes, regardless who ownership is, you know, we could, you know, just be out, you know, they're gone, whatever. We bring in, let's say, just for sake of conversation, Red Bull comes in, right? And they buy the team, new owner, whatever. They have to see the manager's vision and support him. They have to look at what the team needs and help out in getting that. You're like, oh, well, we need 2 center backs. Here's 2 forwards. You know, that's not going to help because guess what? You're still going to leak goals because you don't have center backs.
Right.
So I think, you know, the philosophy, it's multifaceted. I think the director of football didn't work because he butted heads with ownership
He was
because
he was the wrong guy.
like who he wanted to get ownership was like, nah, we're not doing that.
It wasn't a bad idea to get a director of football. It just wasn't the right guy, and he came with the wrong manager too. I mean, So
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we might be developing one now, you know, as far as how we play, formation, team selection, and what have you. But I think the biggest part of it is when we go into transfer markets, we have to go into them with a plan, not like, okay, well, let's wait until the final week, and whoever's not taken by somebody, we'll go ahead and underbid and hope that they accept. Like that's
where we come back right all way back to where it always comes back to, which is David Sullivan. Every time. It goes back to David Sullivan.
But that's philosophy too, right? That's just a wider philosophy. That is a style of playing and a type of player that we should go after, regardless of who the manager or the backroom staff is. There should be an identity to the club. And that's my dog snoring.
This is what I had read as well. I think it was 67, wasn't it? Or 68, one of the two, 67, 68, late 60s. They won the European Cup. All their players came from 20-mile radius. That's cool. Listen, that's an awesome story. It's also a story that happened before I was born. So forgive me if I don't get too excited about it. Anyway, I mean, I do think, I listen, Fo, I'm with you on this. Of course, we don't want Sullivan implementing anything, but you know, he's Jerry Jones. That's what he does. It's what he doesn't delegate. You know, he takes control of everything. And I think that's the biggest problem we have right now. Let me ask you this, though. And I'm throwing this out in October. We may be revisiting this. We'll revisit this later in the season. We're on pace to have a decent season, okay? Who knows what's going to happen? We were on pace to have a decent season last year. We didn't, right? On pace to have a decent season. So what if we do have a decent season and we finish in the top 10 or maybe, you know, top 12, something like that? Is everybody still GSB out?
Yes.
I mean, I am personally.
Gotta be.
I am personally, but you know, again, I've asked this before. Is there anything they could do? Anything they could do? What if we finished in the top 8?
I don't
think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just
if we won the league, I'd still be GSB out.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's not because Brady and Sullivan didn't put us in this position to succeed. It was the Moyes and the players who have done it.
Right.
The board has done everything they can to sabotage that.
Yeah, you can't sit there and sell a player that everybody wants to keep and is excited to play with and who was promising in preseason and then expect the fans to be like, you guys are all right. They were giving you a hard time. Like, that'd be 2 successful seasons in 10 years? Like, no,
yeah, we've already
3.
Yeah, we've had multiple relegation battles. We've been relegated. Yeah, no, it's I'm still GSB out. I just like to take the temperature from time to time.
Well, you know, when we sold the Diangana at the time, a lot of people were mad, but they sold and made a profit. At the time, you thought, well, they had nothing to sell. We needed money. Okay. Then they turn around and buy the same player.
For right. That
makes no sense.
I said the same thing. It makes no sense.
And not even that. We loaned him with an obligation to buy.
Yeah.
That's right.
It makes even less sense.
So we could put them on layaway, right? Which is what we do with players. We pay it. Paying in installments, I don't think is all that unusual in European football, but I'm not sure that. I think Sullivan is kind of known for it, if that makes sense. He has a reputation for it, and I think it's the difference between we'll pay you 3 times over a year or whatever, and he'll come to you and say like, we'll give you, 12 payments over 14 years, or like the way the New York Mets write a $1 million check to Bobby Bonilla every year because they signed him to a contract. How long was that contract, Chris? How long is he going to get those? A long time.
What is his last name again?
Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla was a baseball player, a very good player, and the New York Mets. Huh?
He was a stud. We hated him here.
Yeah, he was a stud. Yeah, no, he was. Well, you're from St. Louis. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because you were in the division back then.
Yeah.
So he was a great player. He came from Pittsburgh to the New York Mets. They signed him to this contract. They prorated it so that they pay him $1 million a year for something like 30 years.
Yes. Crazy.
I mean, he's been retired.
It took effect July 1st, 2011, and will extend through 2035, where he gets paid $1.2 million every July 1st. So July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day.
If you ever wanted to follow if you care about baseball, which I'm not really a big baseball guy, but if you ever wanted to follow a baseball team that is just like West Ham, become a fan of the New York Mets. All right.
Hey, you can't say that actually anymore because they're about to get a new owner.
They just got bought, which is what I'm hoping will happen with West Ham. I've been a Mets fan since I was about 8 years old. All right. For reasons I don't really entirely understand because I'm not from New York, but I've always been a Mets fan. And if you want to follow a club that will beat you up and tear you apart and do everything that West Ham does, then go be a Mets fan, and you can have the same misery in the summer that you have all the rest of the year with us.
You got to be a Mets fan because today the New York mayor said that he's trying to block the sale of the Mets. So that's West Ham in a nutshell.
Oh God!
Why? Why is he doing that?
I'll read it and I'll let you know.
You know what? We're getting way off topic. I'm sorry. I apologize. We're getting way off topic.
Send me the links.
But the Mets are West Ham. West Ham are the Mets, basically, and. Especially if the sale doesn't go through to this billionaire, then they're really, really West Ham. Yeah. But yeah, I think getting back to what we were talking about, I think Sullivan has a reputation for putting players on layaway and not making the payments. just generally being cheap. All right, so we're through. We've been on for an hour. We don't have a whole lot of time to go. Chris, I understand if you need to go, then take off. It's fine. We very much appreciate you having on whenever you're ready.
Yep.
It's up to you. We're glad you're here. Always good to talk to you and have you on. So hang out if you want to.
I'll actually say my goodbyes here now. Sorry, guys. It's been a little bit hectic with working 2 jobs and grad school full time. So,
dude, listen, I am in awe of you. All right. I think you're doing a fantastic job just staying sane and awake.
barely on both, but
yeah. No, but
really quickly. Tommy and I will be doing the live or the post-match live stream Saturday following the Liverpool match. But this will not be the background. I'm actually headed home for the weekend. So it will be my bedroom back home. So
nice.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, Lee. I'm going to take off here, guys.
Hey, Chris, it's always good to have you on. I love talking to you. Always great on the show. And listen, take care. All right. Don't work yourself too hard. Okay.
Oh, I'm trying not to. So.
Enjoy that trip to Vegas too.
Yeah,
that'd be. I still will talk before then probably, but that'd be a good time.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Chris. All right, for y'all who are hanging on, why don't we do some? Why don't we talk about Liverpool? Do some Liverpool predictions. I'll say what I always say. It's stupid to predict the result of a match when nobody knows the starting 11 or who's healthy or who's not or whatever. But it's what else are we going to do? We're just here to talk about West Ham, so we might as well do it. So empty Anfield, we've only won at Anfield once since 1963, I believe, and that was in the Payet season when we beat him like 3-0. Oh, that was such a great game.
Yeah. We had a lot of great away matches that year. City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
The only problem with that year was the way it fell apart right at the end. We had a loss to Stoke at the very. I mean, we were like competing. We were legit top 4 contenders in like May, and then But still, it was a great season. So we got some stuff coming in. You guys in the chat room, let us know what you think too. What do you think is going to happen, John? Give us. I'll tell you what. Give us an idea of what our starting 11 is going to be. You don't have to name them all, but Allaire up top, Benrahma or Fornals, and then maybe give us a score prediction.
No changes apart from Haller in for Antonio, I think, and. I've got a couple of friends who are Liverpool supporters. From what I can tell, there's a different feel about Liverpool this season to them. They don't quite seem as invincible as they were. I've even got one friend complaining about VAR decisions, which is hilarious.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter, and you know what? Listen. I thought Pickford's challenge on Van Dijk was vicious. All right, it was vicious, and if you're going to use VAR to do anything, you should use it. I call it VAR, by the way. Nobody else does that. Anyway, if you're going to use VAR to make a decision, that's the kind of thing where you should use it. So I do have some sympathy for him there, honestly, because I hate to see players injured on any team. But I mean, for them to complain about VAR after last season, get out of here. Come on. I mean, you can't be serious. The league bent over backwards to get them a title they were going to win anyway. Anyway, sorry, that was my rant. Go ahead, John.
I think that's about it. So there's just a different feel. I mean, they don't, like I said, they don't feel as invincible as they were. I think there's a couple of injuries there that could help us out. If we can figure it out and just get balls in the air to Haller and Souček, like I said, there's no reason why we can't score goals. We played them well, as Solly said earlier, we played them well last season. Especially around just before, or the last few games before the restart. Fornal scored a nice goal over there. We were playing them very well. So, just go out and compete. I don't really care. I don't care what the score is. We should treat this like the Man City match. I see those are the two contenders for the league. If we can pick up a draw against City, there's no reason we couldn't pick up a draw or a win against Liverpool. Just go out and compete and see what happens.
You guys know. You guys who watch American football know what a free play is, right? You have a flag is thrown on the defense, and so basically you just do whatever you want, because even if you throw an interception, you lose a fumble, it doesn't matter. The play's going to come back anyway, right? Mm-hmm. But if you score a touchdown, if you gain a lot of yardage, you keep whatever you got. That's how this game feels to me, right? This feels like a free play. This doesn't feel like we're not in a relegation battle right now. We're not desperate for points. We've had some good results over clubs we did not expect to beat. They were a little bit on the back foot, maybe. This feels like we just go for it. You know what I mean? We just go for it. Dave, what do you have?
I'm going to say take the over in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals scored.
I do too.
Unfortunately, I still think Liverpool's got more class than us.
Yeah,
it'll probably be 4-3, 5-4, something like that. It's going to be an outrageous scoring game. Take the over.
Yeah, I don't know what there is over under in football, isn't there? I mean, that exists. Yeah. Okay. I don't do a lot of betting, but I there has to be. I'm wondering what the over under is. Does anybody know? Maybe we can look that up.
I'm trying to find out real quick.
Sully, what's your if you're not too busy searching the over under for Liverpool and West Ham, what's your take on what's going to happen Saturday? It's finally on Saturday.
Yeah. I think it would be a 2-1 Liverpool, but I think it'll be hard fought. I don't know. I think we'll lose, but I don't think we're just going to bend over backwards. Like, it'll be a game, where we're only going to have like 30 to 35% possession. So we have to make every opportunity count, just like how we did against Manchester City. But I think the biggest thing for this game is the fact that we're not going into it hoping that we don't get battered. There's a lot of confidence from players and fans, I think, going into it. And, injuries help. I will say, when Manchester City said that De Bruyne was on the bench, I was like, once he comes in, we're going to luse the game no matter what it is anyway. So, but he came in. He almost did, but, we all also almost won it. If Fornals can take a better 1v1 with the goalie.
Nobody's talked about Fabianski, but he came up big against Manchester City in the match.
Yeah, 100%.
He did well. And he's had a pretty good season, to be honest.
I mean, Fabianski came up well, and the back line did a good job to scuffle those breakaways that what's his name had, who always scores against us, or Sterling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if we won, honestly, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we lost. I'm hoping for a draw, but I do see it 2-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, you guys know, if you've watched our show before, have been on our show before, I can't ever pick West Ham to win because that's a guarantee that we'll lose. I'm with you, Dave, really both of you guys. But I think, Dave, your point about a lot of goals, I could see like a 3-2. I could.
The over-under is 3.5.
Okay, the over is 3.5. Take the over. I'm with you on that. Take the over. I could see like a 3-2. I could even see a 4-3. A lot of goals. Of course, that is if I mean, we may have Allaire out there who doesn't perform, and then we get tonked. I don't know, but the way we're both playing, the way we're both going to set up, the injuries they have in defense, I think we can score some goals. I'm going to say the same thing I said when we went into the City game. I just want us to turn up. If I had to pick a score, I'd probably say 3-2 to Liverpool. Only because I do think that they're still a very, very good team, even with their injuries. They have a lot of firepower up front. We have not been great defensively the last couple of games. All right, the comeback against Tottenham was magnificent. But let's not forget we were down 3-0 after 15 minutes. So we have to temper our expectations a little bit. But I think if we turn up, just like against City, if we turn up, if we play well, if we put in an effort, if we don't slump our shoulders, if we concede, then I'm happy with that. This is, we're not Fulham. We're not sitting down with 1 point, 2 points like Sheffield United, whoever's down there at the bottom of the table right now. We're not desperate yet. That's how I feel. It's going to happen eventually, but it's a free game, so go out there with no pressure. Go out there, attack, get Allaire involved. Get the crosses in, and we'll see what happens.
I do agree anything can happen. And
yeah,
I think Happy makes a good point saying that it's a strange season, because look at the top four right now. It's Everton, Liverpool, Villa,
right.
Leicester, and that's your top four right now. And Villa's lost one game, got a +7 in the league right now in goals. And the crazy thing is that +7, 6 of those are against Liverpool. They put Right. They put 7 past Liverpool with Van Dijk playing,
Right.
So
Leicester put 5 past Manchester City. And then we put 3 past Leicester. Nothing makes any sense.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, they won 5-2 on the road coming to us, and they can't even score. Wolves had probably their worst game in the past couple of years against us. I mean, I'll take it. But I mean, it's anything can happen, and I know that's kind of the general mantra for the Premier League is every week is a battle.
But it's usually not true.
It's true because for the most part, it's not true. But I don't think people are.
But this season
super
it is
shocked when it does happen. But this year is true. I mean, Leeds is playing well. That doesn't shock me too much because I thought they would be where they are. Maybe not specifically 6th place, but I do think that they'd be playing just fine.
I
and
knew
they
they'd
are.
be good. They brought in good players. Have a good manager. Very solid.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, if anybody would have told you at this. Yeah, if anybody would have told you at this point of the season that we'd have a +4 goal differential and sitting above both teams that play out of Manchester, nobody would believe you. So,
nobody would believe you with 8 points.
I mean, we got a better goal differential than Manchester United and Manchester City combined. It's crazy.
Baffling. It's baffling, which is why I say I've never seen a season like this before.
That's why it's the best league in the world.
It's why it's the best league in the world, and I'm telling you, I really believe that the empty stadiums are a factor. I think I think the referees make better decisions. They're less biased because they don't have the fans around them. I think the players are more focused. If we go down 3-0 to Tottenham in their ground with 75,000 of their fans in there, however many fit in there, do we come back? I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe, but maybe our guys just slink out of there. Who knows? But with no noise, there's no distraction. It's a different type of season. And as much as I really, really want fans to be able to come back, because that's what the sport is all about, it's made for some really exciting football. And, it's a good point, Kelly. Aston Villa, a 6-goal positive differential against, one of the best teams in the world. And here they only stayed up last season because we didn't really bother to show up for our last game,
right?
Because we were safe and we didn't care. And here they go out and tonk Liverpool. Anything could happen. I just want us to be competent and confident, and I want us to turn up and put in a good performance, a good shift. This season turned around early when we put in a good shift against Arsenal, even though we lost. And everybody looked at us and said, you know what? This team can compete with Arsenal. We were in that game. We probably should have had a draw. We could have won. We were in that game. And I feel as though what we did with Tottenham, Leicester, which is another big club right now, Manchester City, all, do the same thing. Show up, be competitive. And, fight for 90 minutes. That's all I really want.
It's an interesting point you make there, Lee, because we've talked a little bit about the team atmosphere and the feeling around the club and the camaraderie. It probably, as much as that matters in a normal year, it's probably worth double in a year where you don't have fans to spur you on that extra 10%. You don't have, the regular match day atmosphere. It's got to count for a little bit more this year, and there's definitely a feel-good factor in that West Ham team, and that's probably driving a lot of this.
I think I think, John, you're right. I think the sort of team spirit, if you want to call it that, is especially important this season. The players seem to be rallying around Moyes, who's finally getting a full season in with West Ham. We have younger, hungrier players. Chris mentioned it earlier. We got rid of some of the dead wood. We've done what Moyes wanted to do. We found some bargains. We found some young players, some foreign players who want to prove themselves. All this stuff is important. And I think it's a different game when you're playing in an empty stadium. It's a different game. It's much worse to watch because you lose the atmosphere and the fans don't get to have their day out, right? I mean, which is what the sport is all about. But it makes for more interesting football in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily worse to watch because I think even when fans are there, the only times you really ever notice them are for bad calls and goals. But other than that, I mean, it's
in the London Stadium. That's especially true. Yeah, in the London Stadium, that's especially true. They're not even they're so far away that it doesn't really matter.
Just seeing the carpet.
Right, exactly. That's a valid point. Yeah, before we go, this is a good question. Not that we'll get one on Saturday because we won't, but who takes penalties with Noble not on the pitch? I have no idea.
Bowen probably.
Well, sure. Why
I'd
not?
put him in there.
I mean, yeah. I don't. Do we know that anybody else has that particular skill? I mean, Noble happens to be one of the best penalty takers in the world. Statistically, one of the best in the world. That is something he really does do. For our 3 penalties a year that we get awarded, we don't get very many.
Give it to my striker. Give it to my striker. That's what he's there for.
Give it to your man out there.
Definitely a confidence builder for sure.
Well, give it to a striker not named Antonio.
Well, you don't want it 40 feet over the bar.
I don't think I trust him with a penalty. I don't.
I don't think I would either. The last thought I have too is on Allaire. If he tears it up this weekend, imagine what that does for the team. I mean, Antonio's kind of been the talisman, right? In a lot of ways, he scored most of our goals. He's our engine. He's probably my favorite athlete in the world right now. All right, so I'll express my bias for Michail Antonio. I love him. And the thing you posted on Twitter, John, the little story about him and Zaha from Palace and the guy from Spurs, really good thing. Was it a BBC that did that? I think it was BBC that did that. Go on John's Twitter feed. If you go to his address there, I'm pointing the wrong way. Anyway, wherever it is, John on AHN, or I retweeted it. It's on mine too. There's a little about 10-minute feature on Antonio and who did I just say from Palace? What's
Zaha.
Zaha. Thank you. I kept wanting to say Zaza, but that was our disaster. And a young guy from Spurs. I don't remember who it was. Anyway, the 3 of them, and they talk about their struggles growing up in, kind of underprivileged parts of London and playing in the cages when they were growing up, like sort of similar to basketball players in the US, right? They like playground players. They were doing the same thing as footballers.
The cement courts.
The cement courts. Exactly. It's the same thing. It's like it's a cage. It's a little, it's a literal cage where they're playing on a small pitch. Street ball. It's exactly right. That's exactly where they came from. It's a really, really good little 10-minute mini documentary on these 3 guys and the challenges they faced. And I think it's just, if you don't love Michail Antonio, and you should as a West Ham fan, if you don't love him, you will really, really love him after this. He's just an endearing guy. He's a great representative for our club. But I got off on a tangent. If Allaire steps in and scores a couple, I think, imagine that we can look now and say, we're not relying on this one guy. Do you know what I mean? We're not relying on this one player. I think it could be. I think it could be the difference in 3 or 4 places in the table, potentially by the end of the season. I think it could be absolutely massive. I think his opportunity right now is gigantic to prove to the fans and to prove to Moyes what he can do, especially against a high-profile opponent. I know it's not. I'm not saying anything you don't already know, but
Lee, could you imagine having 2 strikers that score goals? When was the last time we had that?
Diafra Sacco and Valencia.
Yeah,
not Diafra Sacco. Was that his name?
Yeah,
I just
Sacco.
remember. Sacco and Valencia.
Sacco.
That pairing was fantastic to watch.
That was a good pairing. No, you're right. I like Sacco a lot, actually. I thought Sacco was really good.
I remember Valencia had an insane goal out of literally nothing against an away match against Hull one year. I think the last time Hull were in the Premier League. Yeah, an absolute rocket from just outside the box, and he was just toying with the defender and just booted it past him.
That ball moved too. There was so much movement on that ball. I remember that one.
Yeah, that was, and it was right in front of the away fans, the away section too. That was brilliant. But I think if Haller does get on a tear, that's fantastic. I hope he does. It would be great for him, for the team, and everything. But I think one thing that can't go underrated so far this season is how much secondary scoring the team is getting right now. Because you have obviously Antonio scoring. You had that goal from Lanzini, from Balbuena of all people.
Yes, that's right.
Bowen is bound to get hot. When Souček came in last year, Souček was always the monster in the box.
Souček,
and when you have Yarmolenko come in, he's somewhat of the super sub in a sense. He's probably one of the most dangerous people in the league with the left foot.
That's true.
I think he might rely on it too much, but at the same time, I think it's not. You can't discount it.
Bring it back. You're totally right, Sully. Yeah, bring it back. So how old is Sacco now? Is he 45 years old? I don't know. Probably.
But yeah, that's important, and that's where our position in the league is going to go, regardless of how well Antonio and Haller are playing. We need somebody not named Antonio Haller to also produce. Whether it doesn't even matter where it comes from. Honestly, like our third leading scorer in the team could be Declan Rice. It really doesn't matter who it is.
You
just got to get secondary scoring.
You're totally right. And that's something we've never really had before either. We've always had Anderson a couple of seasons ago. Remember Snodgrass last season was like I think he was our leading scorer going into the lockdown. That's nuts. I mean, we were relying on him for a lot of goals. This is a team that can score, and you're right. This is a team that can score from a lot of different sources. You have, Souček, who's the box-to-box midfielder who can come in with a header. You've had Balbuena, a center back score. Bowen is certainly capable, as you said. Yeah, I think that's massive. I do.
Cresswell is dangerous on a free kick too. Let's not forget about
Cresswell's
that.
Dangerous. And let me just say once again, I want to say this every week. I am so enjoying the redemption, the rejuvenation, the resurgence of Aaron Cresswell. All right. I criticized him last year like everybody else. He had a bad season. We know that. But I've always loved Cresswell. And I've always said he was an underrated kind of long-time West Ham player who's been a good servant for a long time. And I love the fact that he and Masuaku, who I thought when he first came to West Ham was a really good player, and then he can't defend. That neither one of them could be a left back. He and Masuaku, these two guys I've always liked. They've redeemed themselves so far this season. And I think that's just fantastic.
They complement each other really well.
They complement each other really well, not just for the club, but because I like them both as players. I like them as guys. I like their attitudes. I like their energy, and I mean, Cresswell joint third in the league for assists. This is crazy, Is Bowen really our top scorer? That doesn't.
I think so. Yeah.
Is that right? Well, maybe he is. I hadn't really thought about it. Well, that just goes to show you how many places we've had goals from.
Yeah, Heller has the most goals through the season, through all comps, but through the EPL, Bowen has it.
Good night, Kieran. Yeah, everybody's signing off here.
It's bad when the chat room signs off.
So maybe we should take this as a little bit of a hint. It's been an hour and a half, and that's enough. That's certainly enough for anybody to have to listen to me. But John, Dave, Selly, you guys want to throw anything in before we go?
Come on, you are.
No, man. Yes, everybody stay in good spirits and good health, man. I mean, especially for all the American people through this crazy election season. I don't really care who anybody votes for, but just stay safe and wear a mask.
Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
turn the news off until after next Tuesday.
Don't scroll.
Yeah.
Don't
I've
Don't
already
watch the news
voted.
until next Wednesday.
I've already voted, so at this point, I just need to know what happens in the end. Turn it off in between then.
I've already
Right.
voted. I will never talk politics on this show because the best way to kill anything is to talk politics, right? Unless you are on Fox News or CNN or whatever it is you watch. Don't ever
Right.
talk politics because the people will hate each other and the whole thing explodes. I've already
Right.
voted. I'm with you guys. There's nothing more I can do. Right? It's what's done is done. I think from tonight until this time next week, I'm gonna binge watch. I don't know, like maybe the Jeffersons or something, or
Watch the Harry Potter series from front to back
yeah.
and back to front.
I'm gonna watch all the 70s TV I can find. Right? I'm gonna start in 1970. I'm gonna start with Mary Tyler Moore in 1970, and I'm gonna
Green
go up
Street
through
Hooligans.
right. I'm gonna go through Hello Larry in the late 70s. I'm gonna watch all the 70s TV all the 70s sitcoms, okay, that I can find.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back, and I'm not gonna do anything else. And by the time I'm done, I'll have no idea what year it is or who the president is, and nothing will matter. So
It's a game like the rest of 2020.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
getting that quality Kieran sign off there, Lee's. He's telling you to get off.
Yeah, no, Kieran loves my sign off for the last 20 minutes. Yes, no, of course I'm not getting the message. They're saying goodbye to the other Lee. Oh, they want us to keep going. Well, not Gary. He's done. Look, Gary's done. Gary's like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know Gary. Yeah. Make my say. Listen, maybe this is what we're all trying to do. Okay. We're not telling. I'm not going to tell you who I. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for. I'm not going to tell anybody who I voted for. But yeah, I'm going to watch either I'm going to watch 70 sitcoms or I'm going to watch the Lanzini goal against Tottenham just sort of thousands of times over the next week. Just let it roll on my TV, in the background, like when you put the log in the background, like the burning log for Christmas. You know what I mean?
The Yule log.
The Yule log. It's just going to be the Lanzini goal. Go, broop, broop, broop,
Right.
That's all it's going to be. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, hey, good to have you guys on. Thanks for being on with us as always. To the chat room, thanks for being on. It was great tonight. It was really active. Had a lot of viewers. Really appreciate that. Katie's doing a show tomorrow night. You guys are going to want to watch. She's doing what Tim and I used to do. She's interviewing a West Ham fan. I don't know who it is, but she's going to talk to him or to her about it kind of runs in my mind 24 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? It's on a loop. It never really stops. Thank you. Appreciate this. This is really nice. Appreciate that. So watch Katie's show tomorrow night. All right. Rebecca is having to take a little time off, so they're not doing their thing together. But Katie's a great West Ham fan, a great interviewer. You know her, John. She's a Philly girl, right? You've been
She's one town over from me. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, she's awesome. So watch her tomorrow night, and then we'll have Friday Night Likes. Who hosts Friday Night Likes? It's some.
Who hosts it?
Yeah, it's some I don't know.
Some asshole. I don't know his name.
Yes. Yeah, we get some amateur. I don't know. It's clearly not a professional, polished host the way I am.
Well, he's not, because he actually went into the chat from Hammer Shots tonight and asked people to submit questions for the show on Friday. So if anybody's got questions that they want to hear on Friday Night Likes on Friday, hit me up on Twitter. I'm looking for inspiration.
There you go. Thank you. This is really, everybody's giving us some plaudits tonight. This is nice. Thank you. John Nolan for PM. Yeah, absolutely. I would. Well, we're in the PM. It's 10:30 at night here, so it's Nolan After Dark. Let's give me the new name of the show.
Unless you're Neil. Neil's he's already on Saturday with the pina colada.
It's like 2024 or something in Australia. I don't know what
Neil
already knows who the new owners are.
Yeah,
he's the opposite of Moyes time. He's working a few hours ahead on his subs.
Yeah. Neil already knows what happened in the Liverpool game. He's just not telling us. He's keeping it a secret because it's already happened. All that has already happened in Australia, And by the way, New Zealand now has 70,000 fans at rugby matches. So I am jealous because they got it under control. But anyway, so
France just went on a countrywide lockdown again too. That's exciting.
France is in for 2 weeks. Spain, they say that if they can't flatten the curve again in the next 2 weeks, they're going to have a 6-month lockdown. And I don't know about that.
Yeah, good luck.
I think there's some lockdown. I think England may
6
go
month
back.
siesta. That actually doesn't sound too bad. Let's be honest.
That sounds awesome right now. It sounds great. I think I could sleep for 6 consecutive months. I'm pretty sure I could do that. Because of all the sleep.
John can after being up for 9.
Right, the cumulative sleep I've lost.
Yeah.
Okay, my boys are 10 and 7. Okay, so that's 10 years, but it's 17 years of cumulative, right? So I think I could sleep for 6 months, consecutive months, and probably still not be totally caught up on sleep. But
John's dog could sleep for 6 months easy.
Oh yeah. I
Who's
had
that?
to wake her up at 2 p.m. today.
John's dog.
Oh,
She went to bed at 10 and woke up at 2 the next
She
day
lives
today.
the life, though. She lives the life, man. That dog lives an awesome life. That dog's and look at this. Kieran's on a houseboat for the weekend. Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds okay.
Hey,
I
have
guess.
fun, man. Have
If
fun. That sounds
if
great.
that's the best you can do. I mean, I'm going to be in like 40-degree rainy weather, so I know you're pretty jealous of that. But yeah, that sounds like fun, Kieran. Have fun. Enjoy that. Yeah, enjoy that. When will we get a vaccine? I got one today for the flu. Does that
We'll
count?
get one when West Ham win the league.
Oh, Sully, don't say that. Good Lord. It's been 125 years. It's been 125 years, Sully. We can't wait another 125 years for a vaccine.
You got to
Well,
break the curse sometime.
you got to break the curse sometime. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I've been signing off for 20 minutes as usual. John, Sully, Dave. Awesome having you, by the way, Dave. We don't get to talk a lot. It was really nice to have you on. Anyway, you guys, you got hang on for a minute after we go. We'll chat a little bit. But to everybody in the chat room, thanks for being on. To everybody, yeah, it's really not that funny. And this weekend, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Lions.